Hi everyone, I'm Shu Yang Lin from Taiwan. Literally from the future, 7 hours in the future. And today I'm going to talk about prototyping future democracy, because citizens in Taiwan, we have been prototyping future democracy for the past 30 years, since the lift of martial law in 1987. For the past 30 years, public participation has been developed in several formats, from face-to-face to really deliberate over the internet. And we can see this trajectory coincides with the advancement of technology, because we see when technology arrives, and we also see democracy evolved. So that was more like the Taiwan in 30 years ago, and this is more like the Taiwan of today now. These are people, citizens in Taiwan, participating hackathons made by the largest civic tech community called GovZero. GovZero is the largest civic tech community in Taiwan, having around 4,000 contributors, and is still growing and growing every day. They organize hackathons like this every 2 months for people to participate, no matter in the physical room or on the internet. People attracted to these hackathons are like designers, coders, activists, policymakers, and so on. And we call ourselves Civic Makers to really participate in the event and think about how we could reiterate democracy better using current or emerging new technologies. We believe that we should all have a say on where we go as a society. And more than that, we should also have a make on where we go as a society. One of the mottos from GovZero is to be nobody, which actually means instead of asking why nobody's doing this, we can be that nobody, and we can start doing things right now at this moment already. So now the call to action from GovZero is about to fork the government. We actually look at all the websites from the government that we don't like, that ends in gov.tw, and then we start making a new website that ends with g0v.tw. So what happened next? Let's solve this discoverability problem, because as a citizen, you simply go to the public website and change the O to 0, and then we are entering this shadow government with open data, with better experience and everything like that. Okay, so in 2014, that's the era of self-media, when digital natives wouldn't be hesitate about upload videos online or become YouTubers. A very interesting movement took place, the Sunflower movement. In the March of 2014, some students in Taiwan wouldn't bear with the unwillingness of MP at times to deliberate about a surface trade deal with the Beijing office, so that they entered the parliament for 22 days and occupied there and conducted a real deliberation inside. The GovZero Civic Makers, Civic Hackers, also participated and went in with cables, live streaming devices, and start live streaming, so that the activities in the parliament could be really filmed, recorded, and open for the world to see. So that it could be reported as how it really was, as in nonviolent and peaceful. It is nothing more than just an open space technology where people were hanging on the street, thinking about how we want our society better, how we want our democracy could be iterated in another form and shape. In that moment of time, we all share a sense of need, no matter people in the parliament, people on the street, people working for the government, or people not working for the government. We all know that we need to have a shared platform to be engaged in rational discussion, so that one of the ministers with our portfolio, Jacqueline Tsai, she went to one of the GovZero hackathons and proposed this idea. She said, we need a platform that allows the entire society to engage in rational discussion. And some civic hackers in Taiwan, in the GovZero hackathon, took the idea, took the pitch, took the challenge, and built vTaiwan. So, what is vTaiwan? It could look like a website, it could look like a process. It's been developed throughout the years since the Occupy, but it's actually an experiment. vTaiwan is an experiment that prototypes an open consultation process for digital regulatory reform. It has a rough process. So to change a digital regulation, we really need to start from having an idea, a proposal, and collect the opinion from the society, and then to really reflect and think about what we can write in a draft bill, write a bill, and then send it to a parliament. The process is being co-created as a very flexible process, and it is still very flexible as how it was created from the beginning. For example, in the case of non-consensual pornography, we extended the opinion collection phase because we discovered that the stakeholders might need more time to really speak out. And in another case of online bullying, we paused right before the bill drafting phase because we found out some existing regulation already. So we simply announced the existing adaptable regulation on the VTaiwan's website and post right there. The technology behind VTaiwan is also not a secret at all. We have collected lots of technologies, digital technologies that were designed for online collaboration. And then we simply just discussed about what kind of tools we'll use for this case, for this stage. So for example, in the case of regulating Uber, we expected to have a larger amount of online participants. So we started using a tool called PDIS. That is a tool having this feature of having facilitation for a large amount of online users. And it did help us to calculate and compute the consensus for around 200,000 people. Of course, we like to discuss over the internet, but we also meet up in a hackathon like this every Wednesday evening. It's an open event, not only because the door is open, but also because we announce the time and place to meet up every Sunday beforehand. So people can really drop by, and discuss about how we want to change our society, how we want to change our digital regulations. We prepare food, and especially pizza and Coke. It really looks like people just gathering around having pizza and talk about stuff. But we've attracted people, for example, in this picture, like a researcher, engineer, a designer, a coder, another coder, a market manager, and another coder who just happened to be the digital minister of Taiwan. So we do talk in circles, chat about social issues. We also observe that people do gather around food, the very bite they like. At the same time, we noted everything we talk about on a shared document. So it's not a black box conversation. It's everything we talk about, discuss about, will be uploaded to the internet as well on a shared document, so people can review and check what happens in the hackathon. And this become the seed of conversation, where led us to the next stage, to visualize feelings. We utilize the power of web and AI for gathering more opinions from the internet, from online participants, or from remote participants. This is the interface of PDIS. We use that for regulating Uber. And as a user, you can see other people's comments at the top. And you can choose to agree, disagree, or just simply say, I don't know, I'm not sure. And you can choose to write down your own ideas, feelings, statements in the middle section, and that will be brought into another algorithm and clustered, projected on the 2D interface at the bottom. And this is a totally non-biased conversation because the facilitator, as you see, is a robot, is an algorithm. And it's also a very peaceful conversation because there's no way for the users to talk to each other. It is really peaceful because apparently you cannot find any reply button on top of the interface. We call this phenomenon from reply to rewrite. Through this month-long process, we saw consensus emerge. And participants' opinion migrate from one end to the other end, which is from the end of more divisive statements to another end of more consensus statements. Because the users are trying so hard to be part of the conversation, but we cannot reply. So instead of replying, we try to rewrite other people's sentence and come up with a more neutral, more constructive feedback into the conversation. And from here, we'll come to the next stage, bring this core consensus, the support, to the next stage, which is V-Taiwan's consultation meeting, which brings people together again in the same room. The consultation meeting brings together society, including the government, including the experts, related stakeholders to a certain issue, and officials, experts, and so on, to this online-offline reflective space. The special design for this space is really about connecting spaces. It is designed to be a mixture of online and offline space. There's a rough setup, of course, for how stakeholders will be seated around this U-shaped table. But there's also a few cameras will be sitting around the room, and that will be the representative for the online participants to really look at and participate in the conversation. So the facilitator sitting at the end of the table will from time to time switch to the online participants' point of view through reading out their comments through a digital channel. So as an online participant, you not only have a second body in the meeting room, you can also sometimes be immersed in this 360 view and participate in the meeting. By utilizing state-of-the-art technology for crafting digital legislation, it brings a more transparent, a more responsive, and a more participatory process, which is really the core of public participation and open government. To date, more than 26 topics have been discussed through V-Taiwan's platform, with 5 law amendments and 20 regulatory reform. It brings people together directly into the governance and helps lawmakers to implement decisions with greater degree of legitimacy. It helps us envision what future democracy could really look like. It is a recursive public. We borrow this term from Professor Christopher Kelty, which actually means this interactive environment that is capable of speaking to its existing form of power through an evolving collective wisdom, whereas V-Taiwan is an interactive community environment that is keeping track of and always updating consensus from the society. V-Taiwan is an open space with an open format, invites all participants to be in the discussion of not only the content, but also the process and also the digital tools we use to facilitate the conversation. It is an extremely flexible space formation that connects the digital rooms with the physical rooms with digital interfaces. And this interactive environment can be crafted by anyone, any V-Taiwan contributors, which is an open community, so that could be anyone, including you and me, including us. I know this experiment might look like an experiment for the Taiwanese government to co-create policies with its citizens in a meaningful way. But this experiment is more than that. It's not limited to Taiwan or to any government formation. It is an experiment for us to try out how we can generate consensus in a large participants. It is an experiment for us to try out, to prototype how we can really work together. That means to unconditionally trust when we collaborate with each other, even though we don't know each other, and to be more open, to be more transparent, so that one day we can get the trust back. V-Taiwan has its own life now, be adaptable and reproducible in several places, such as New York, Toronto, and Tokyo. And the excellence of V-Taiwan is really not about how many regulation is being modified, but it's about this experiment, this prototype, is being demonstrated as sustainable and scalable. I think prototyping future democracy is really the path for us to answer some very important questions, such as where should we go as a society, or what do we want from technology? So if you are as excited as me today, please, let's join the journey of prototyping future democracy, and let's be nobody. And if you type this in your URL, you can join GovZero today. Thank you.